Okay, here we are at Cooter's Garage, and as promised, Mike got the Jeep up on the lift. I'm going to be taking the tires off. Basically, I'm going to start stripping it down. I got some control arms I got to disconnect. I got control arm mounts that need to be ground down and removed. Probably going to pull the rear axles, drain the rear differential. We're going to start with the rear diff as far as the gear change goes. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to get some work done. Cooter's on his primary job right now, and he'll join forces with me a little bit later. Pretty excited. Happy day. All right. Those Yokohama Geolandar XMTs are off. And now we can begin doing some disassembly. Obviously, this is all going to have to get ground off. I'll have to undo this control arm right here. This bracket's got to go. Same as on the other side. And then the one on the front as well. But I'm probably going to start, take the calipers off, get those hung up out of the way. Obviously, I'll be getting all new brake lines. Loosen up these control arms. Get this Jeep lifted back up so I can take the diff cover off and drain the 80/90 oil. So just going to take my time, enjoy some good music, and enjoy working on the Jeep. Common problem here. These stock bump stops just really suck. This is actually the driver's side, which was in better shape, but I pulled it out real easily. You can see there's just a couple of detents there. I bought some new polyurethane rugged ridge ones, so those will be going in. And this is what happens. They basically the material just disintegrates. It's such junk. It's a shame, really. There's my new ones right there. All right, taking the rock armor, this rear glider off the rear diff. I run that because of that wound I received a few years ago that Nate welded up for me. We'll show that to you when I get this off. But anyway, this is about to drop off, so it's going pretty well. All right, happily the oil looks really good, so we're just draining this rear diff. Had to adjust the lift a little bit, get the vehicle nice and secure. Then we'll be taking this cover off, taking the calipers off, undoing the shocks. We got a lot of work here. Well, you can see that the rear drive shaft is marked. At least that's how this has been for years. Rosetta joint, well, you can see a little bit of, got a little bit of out around right there, but for the most part, it's good. As you know, I've had this axle out before and I anti-seized it up very well. It came out nice, even though the boot on the slip joint has been long gone, but it compressed nicely, so I was really happy about that. All right, just took the rear caliper off, taking the hat off right now. You can see that. There we go. Not bad, dry in there anyway. Have to clean all of that out. Making some progress. All right, I just unplugged the ABS sensor for the rear. There's a little 5/16 bolt right here. I'll undo that, and this piece will pull out. You can see it goes through and it rides on this tone ring right here. So this will be coming out momentarily. Okay, I just removed some duct seal. You can see I just wanted to have access to the electrical connection to the locker. As you know, this is the connector that turns on the rear locker, and this is the switch that tells you unlocked. So meanwhile, over here, you can see I'm taking these 18 millimeter nuts off of these studs for the axle shafts. Then I'll be reversing my rotor and putting it on here with some lug nuts and basically pulling those out. I took the wheel speed sensors off. You can see the wires hanging there. The calipers are hanging up. As soon as I'm done blowing off all this dirt and dust, I'll end up taking the last few bolts of this cover off. The rear end's already been drained. And then we'll be taking these nuts off here and do the same thing on the driver's side axle shaft. Okay, I just want to take a moment to talk about these. These are TerraFlex rear coil spring retainers. So what you have is way up inside there, this big washer with this bolt goes through the perch here on the axle shaft. And then they give you a special offset wrench to get up in there and hold the nut. So I got both of those off so that the actual springs will come off. Let's take a look over here. There's the other one right there, and this is the little wrench that TerraFlex gives you. It goes up over the axle shaft, over the axle tube, and then holds that nut right there so you can get it apart. So that's really good. I think the next thing is going to be to reverse my rotors, use them as a slide hammer, and pull these axle shafts out. Probably take the Rancho rear diff cover off. Not bad. I wish Cooter was here. He's working right now. He'll be inbound at some point. So we're just plugging along here. This is Recon Jeeper, living the dream here in Cooter's garage. Okay, rear diff cover is off. There we go. Looking at the 410 gears on the stock Rubicon E-Locker made by the company GKN. So we'll let that drain a little bit. Carefully take off my Dana 44 lube locker gasket. This thing is definitely got my money's worth out of this thing. My goodness, I've had this thing on and off this dip probably a half a dozen times. Okay, very simple. I just reversed the rotor. It took me about five pulls, and the carbon chromoly rear axle shaft on the passenger side popped right out. So I'm going to carefully take that out, get a rag on it, put it somewhere safe, take this rotor off of it. Very nice. You can see the retaining bracket right here. Happily, all these studs, maybe one of them was loose on the other side. A little trick I learned from Mike: if these studs get loose, you can tack weld them on this side. But very good, not bad at all. So I just pulled my carbon rear axle shaft on my passenger side, and you can see I got this all drained, the cover off. I'm just gonna come over here and pull the driver's side next. So I'm doing as much prep work today as I can. I got my coil spring retainers off. So whatever I can do to get this thing ready. Mike will be here this afternoon, and really the plan was tomorrow and Saturday to put a couple long days in, and the focus was going to be changing over the gear set. So anyway, guys, be safe, have fun, drink beer, smoke cigars. Yeah, I really am so impressed with these carbon axle shafts. I bought these probably 4, maybe even 5 years ago, at least 4. And they look outstanding. Bearings look good, everything. Really happy with them. So you can see on the left, driver's side, on the right, passenger side. I believe the passenger side is maybe about 3/4 of an inch longer than the driver's side, approximately. So anyway, the old trick of using the rotor reverse on backwards on the hub assembly worked great, using it as a slide hammer. One side came out a little easier than the others, but doing really good here. All right, just taking a minute. You can see I removed the bolt that holds the plug into the locker. Okay, you can see the locker wires right there. Now the real trick, as always, is to get in here with a pick tool and get that solenoid to disconnect right there. So it's no small challenge, I can tell you that. But we're gonna very carefully get that. I get that plug out. That's an OEM plug. We'll be in really good shape if I can do it without it breaking. That's always the trick right there. Get that thing disassembled, then I could take the whole carrier out. Well, I guess you can't teach old dogs new tricks. Using that pick tool and getting in there with hardly any room because of the axle truss, I was able to gently pull up. And I've said this before. If you look at this plug, you see where it looks like it's almost in a backwards letter L? You get the pick tool underneath there and you gently pull up about 1/32 of an inch while pulling the plug out, and it popped right out. So I couldn't be happier with that. Just saved me $35, $40 because this is an OEM plug to engage the rear locker. Okay, just taking a look at these bearing caps, how they're set up. See 366 here. You can see the lettering. I got like a sideways N or Z. Over here it looks more like an N up and down. Yeah, maybe I'll just take a prick punch and mark them, but I was gonna take apart with the proper orientation anyway. Okay, the rear locker is out. The left bearing cap, the right bearing cap, the little locking plate for the solenoid, the race, the shim for the passenger side, the race, the shim for the driver's side. So there we go. Now that's sitting in the go position, waiting for Cooter, the doctor. He'll work on that. So not bad. Again, for the rear. Here we go. We'll take a look inside there. Everything looks nice. Plunger switch right there. Yeah, really pleased. Probably start disassembling some of the front now. Not bad. Want to get some of this work done out of the way to kind of simplify things for Cooter when he gets here for setting up. Obviously, we'll be knocking that pinion out. We got the master install kit. Not bad at all. Start looking at some disassembly to the front here soon. Okay, just started working on the front. Obviously, I got to do these caliper adapter bracket bolts, 21 mil. Get these calipers off, get the rotor off. I got to get the knuckles off. Obviously, I'm going to have to undo my new ball joint delete nylon nuts right here for the upper and the lower. What else? I have coil spring retainers, which, wow, they have proven to be very valuable on full flex. See the bolt and the nut? There's a nut right underneath there. Basically, it goes through the spring and it holds it onto the perch. Those got to come out. Caliper right here. Front drive shaft. I think these are 16 millimeter. This needs to be disassembled from the flange. So just going to start doing some basic, easy disassembly here of the front axle. Probably, yeah, I got to take the tie rod off, obviously. Steering stabilizer's got to come off. Ooh, what happened here? A little bit of a break right there, maybe, I don't know. Okay, Steer Smarts tie rod. Loosen up the, what is it, 21? Yeah, 21 millimeter nuts right here. Took a 3-pound mallet, hit it right here in the front of the knuckle. Same thing on this side, so we'll be taking this tie rod off here. Steering stabilizer, this thing was loose. I wasn't happy with that. The rubber grommet that went through the steering stabilizer to hold it onto the axle end right here seemed like a chunk of the rubber was missing. I might be able to put a washer over it. But this tie rod obviously needs to come out, but I'm going to continue because it's keeping the knuckle straight. Use it for a little bit of leverage so I can take off the calipers, the rotors, the axle shaft nuts, front drive shaft. All right, not bad. All right, both calipers off, supported on some bungees. You can see the ABS sensor here comes around. Gonna remove that. You'll notice I don't run the shields. I got rid of those a long time ago. I just find them to be a nuisance. Easy access here, plus it's a lot easier to change one of these on the trail without having to take everything apart. So then we got this side to do over here. Same thing, ABS sensor. We've got this 36 millimeter axle shaft nut. We got the 13 millimeter. I kept the tie rod on because be turning the steering wheel. I got to be able to turn the steering wheel to get at these bolts right here. Take these off to take the unit bearing out. Then we got to separate, as I recall. Well, once the knuckles off, then I should be able to pull the axle shafts off once the knuckles off. Hopefully. All right. All right, a little look at things here. You can see the unit bearings are out. I don't know. I think this CV joint feels a little tight right here on this side. I think we got to get some synthetic grease in there. A little surprised about that. This side seems much better. So I think I better address that. Outside of that, you can see I took the drag link off. It's sitting up top, tie rod. The front drive shaft has been disconnected from the flange, tie wrapped up right there. So we're making some headway. I would say the next thing I got to do is take these nylon nuts off on the upper and lower ball joint delete, and then pound this knuckle down, same as the other side. I guess now at this point too, I can drain the front axle. Takes about, I think it's one quart and 11 ounces, I believe, in the front. 2 quarts and 11 ounces in the rear. There's the drain plug right there in the Dana 44. We'll get that drained out. Then this cover can come off as well. So really got a lot done, maybe a lot more than I thought. On the other hand, I had hoped to do some grinding. That didn't happen. But there's always more time. I gotta, basically, you can see this right here. This is another stock mount that needs to come off. I'll have to undo this bolt, drop this control arm, and grind this off for the new mounts. The back's in really good position. You can see the patch holding up really well right there that Nate put in a couple of years ago. Very good. All right, you can see that the knuckles are off. That's nice. I don't like the way this RCV, this just seems, I don't know, got to get some grease in this. This one just doesn't seem right. It seems to be binding up a little bit. I do have a brand new stub shaft that Dwayne gave me. If some grease doesn't fix that, we may be taking this apart and knocking the balls out and changing this outside stub shaft. I do have a spare one, which is nice. Now here's the driver's side. You can see nice and smooth. So these axle shafts got to be pulled out. You can see the ball joint deletes, these studs, these pins, basically, they just go down right through the comm bearing. One on the top, one on the bottom. Draining the oil out of the front diff right now. It was nice and dark, looked good, no water. That's great. Be getting an Allen wrench and popping these 5, what are these? I don't know, 5/16 maybe. I got to take these Allen cap screws out. I forget what the thread is. But anyway, got to take this cover off, and then we'll have access, get these front axle shafts out. And I think that's pretty good for today, quite honestly. All right, those front axle shafts pulled out beautifully. As I said, I will visit the passenger side. I think it needs some grease. It just seemed a little tight at the CV joint. You can see the rotors, the armor, the steering stabilizer, the rotors for the rear, the knuckles, the unit bearings over there. Everything came apart nice because my stuff's always apart, and I anti-seize it really well. So really happy with that. Let's go over to the Jeep and take a look at what's going on over there. All right. Here we go. You can see some of the beautiful welding that Nate did on these C gussets. American iron ball joint delete sitting there pretty in the Dana 44. Adjustable track bar. Only one upper control arm. As you know, the rear was removed. Good look right here at the driver's side. So, and we drained the oil. I just put the drain plug in kind of loose, but now we're gonna get an Allen and start taking these cap screws out right here. I'm gonna have to get a pick tool and clean that out right there, and we'll get this cover off. Good look at the plug, the electrical plug that goes through the axle housing to actually engage the locker. That's what that one is. And if we look right over there where I'm pointing, that's the plunger switch right there, which we shouldn't have to have anything to do with. So all we should have to do is disconnect that top electrical plug right here. Then take this off. We got to disconnect that, take this up and out, carefully unplug. Hopefully I do as well as I did in the rear without damaging that. And then the whole carrier will be free to come in and out. Okay, we got the cover off, drained the 80-90 oil out of the front diff. You can see these plugs actually, like to take the harness off of the plug that passes through the axle housing is quite easy. So this here, I believe, is 8mm. We're going to take this, and then I just very carefully, I got to pull this up and then work those wires up through and disconnect. Hopefully I have the same kind of success that I had in the rear of the Jeep, because it really came apart great. Geez, these gears look good. Look at that. That is nice. But quite honestly, as I mentioned already, passenger side stub shaft, a little rough. Let's see what else. My rear drive shaft bolts on the axle flange itself, all 8 of them were very loose. Need to get some Loctite on them when I reinstall them. My front steering stabilizer right here, where it attaches to the tie rod, was loose on this side. On this side right here, the rubber was kind of damaged. I think it'll be okay with a washer. So a couple little things. Ball joint deletes look great. So far, really happy with how everything's coming apart. All right, it's worth looking at that. So what I'm gonna do is get the little pick tool. See that little square right there? The what I call a backwards L when you're looking at it like that. Gently take a pick tool and pull up on that just a little bit and pull this out. This one, happily, because it's above the truss. The rear is I had to cut out a lot of extra metal to make room to access it. But the front, the way it's designed, it comes above the axle truss, which up on a lift here, this is really nice. And this, of course, is an OEM plug right here. So we'll get that separated, and then that will allow this whole carrier, if I wanted to. I don't think I will. I could, but we'll let the doctor, we'll do one at a time. I don't want to complicate things. I will get this plug apart right here, and then we'll leave the front carrier in. That's right. Oh, the other thing that I haven't done yet either, and you can see them right there, are the coil spring retainers. I got to get these apart. I hit them with some PB Blaster to loosen them up. So really happy with what I got done today in, I don't know, maybe about 5 hours. All right, just taking a little breather here. Rear axles out. Rear locker out. Took the bolts out of the lower control arm mounts. Obviously, this needs to come out. This whole piece, see this piece right here? This has got to be ground. This has got to be ground and peeled off, just like we did on Wild Bill's. This side over here, the passenger side's a little harder because the gas tank is right there, but this has all got to go. That's another day. Today, my approach was to get as much as I can get done of the bulwark so that when Dr. Cooter gets here, he can take care of business. You can see the J-link, the lower control arm is out. This piece of shit here has got to be ground down and removed. Front axle shafts out, tie rod out, drag link hanging up there off the pitman arm. I could have pulled the front carrier. No sense, really. 4 bolts, the bearings come out, boom, that would pop right out. I did undo the plug. I didn't have as much luck. A tiny piece of plastic broke off the OEM plug that goes through here. I don't think it's going to hurt me. I really don't. I suspect that's going back in. I also removed the front drive shaft. You can see that it's tied up. Also, the coil spring retainers have been removed. That's why you see this flexibility right here. Not a bad day. There we go. So these are the rock crawler coil springs. You can see the taller ones on the left here for the front. These are the rears. You can also see I bought some wedges. I ended up finding Synergy wedges. These are tapered wedges for the rear coil. Longer brake lines. One of my control arms, my front driver's side. You can see the bolts right there for the rears. Took them out. I don't have the control arms out yet. We got to jack up the axle a little bit when the time comes. Unit bearings, knuckles, a whole bunch of hardware. Now, sadly, if you look right there, you can see, yes, the plug kind of broke. The locking mechanism kind of broke. I suspect it's going to lock right up in there good. Maybe I'll put a little silicone on it. I don't know, kind of frustrating about that. Steering stabilizer, that has some issues. Brand new rear bump stops, brand new sway bar end links. Dana Spicer gears. Nice look at the driver's side rear lower control arm mount. Self-explanatory. I mean, it's got the little notch right there. So those are going to be great. The fronts are two-piece that need to be joined together and welded up. So I had a great day here today at Cooter's Garage. No Cooter, though. I don't understand that. He should be here soon. Enjoying a cigar right now. Great day, man. Got a lot done. All right, let's take a look at this. You can see the letters right there. Top left, bottom, top right, bottom. Maybe I'll take a punch, put a couple dimples right there and match it up. Should be no problem. Should be no problem to take this carrier out. All right, rear lockers out. Bearings, the bearing caps are orientated properly with the race and the shims for each one. Here's the front right here. Locker plugs. Pretty good shape. I think that's about it for today. We're in good shape for Cooter here. He can work his magic. Obviously, we're going to be knocking out these seals. Now, what I'm really happy about is these were Spicer seals. And they did great. There was no water in this oil. It wasn't contaminated. No leaks. Cooter and I installed these, I don't know, sometime last year when we finished up this truss project and we put the ball joint deletes in. So really happy with that. But those seals will get knocked out. We'll be putting some new ones in. Just a great day today. Got everything all set for Cooter. Use his skill set. Take this ring gear off. Start setting up these gears tomorrow. We got tomorrow and Saturday. Really nice. Got some lower control arm mounts to grind and remove. We got these coil springs. These TerraFlex 2.5-inch coil springs are coming out. The 3.5 inches are going in. Got a lot done today. Not bad.